Hello my friends, I'm Wavey, and today I'm going to be going over how to work with add-ons in Stalker Anomaly. If you haven't seen my last video about JSGME and Mod Organizer 2, I highly suggest you do unless you already have experience with those. We will be using JSGME in this video. So I'm going to be going over a couple things. We're going to talk about add-on types, installing all those add-ons, then we'll talk about installing multiple add-ons at the same time, and lastly, I'll give you guys all the info I have to help with troubleshooting and fixing problems. Alright, go ahead, grab a beverage, and let's get into it. First, let me show you the single best add-on resource you can find. This is the Community Curated Add-ons list. I will have the link for this in the description. This list will include generally the most popular add-ons you can get for Stalker Anomaly. In this, they supply a lot of information, like potential conflicts, requirements of needing a new game, and a whole bunch of other things. On the left side of this table are links for all the add-ons. The best way to find something is to look at the type. For instance, if you're interested in audio or animations, or quality of life or shaders, you'll want to first find the type of add-on, then look through the ones that are there to find something you might want. Another good reference is the Importance tab. They say mandatory, recommended, and personal preference, but those are all contextual. If you don't want the mandatory ones, you don't have to take it. But it would be good to at least look at those just to see if there's anything you might be interested in. So let's now talk about what kind of add-ons you can encounter with this game. The first kinds of add-ons are going to be what I call game modifications, and these ones are kind of simple. Inside the archive that you get should be a folder with the add-on, and inside there should be a Gamedata folder. Now, if it's using a Gamedata folder, that's a game modification. You can see here in JSRS, there are 3 parts and each of them have a Gamedata folder. You can also see in a much simpler mod, like the carry weight slider, there's also a Gamedata folder. That's the way that these things are going to come, and those are pretty simple to work with. Another type of mod are database mods. Database mods are relatively similar to game modifications. The only difference is that the folder that you get from the add-on is a DB folder, not a Gamedata folder. This will typically be the case for texture mods like this upscaled skybox texture add-on. Another modification that you can run into is shaders, and these are quite different from the previous two. So I'm going to go back to this page here, and we're going to open up 2 different kinds of reshade mods. And the reason I want to point these out is because they have different ways of being installed. This is important to remember. As with all these add-ons, you should always read the descriptions. There should always be installation instructions or readmes that you might find inside the files. Like for instance, inside the Prosperity reshade, there is a readme. Now I will go over how to actually install these in a little bit, but I do just want to introduce you. Last modifications are just anything that doesn't fall under any of the categories that I already talked about. So for example, there is this one mod, Grok's Better Sounds for Anomaly. This is actually modifying OpenAL, and it is a bit of a process for you at first, but then you just have to copy files into the bin folder in your Stalker Anomaly install. I will also go over this one. I don't have a good idea if there's any other mods that are like this, that they don't have a Gamedata folder or a DB folder, but I know of this one specifically, and I will at least show you how to do that. So game modifications are pretty simple to install. Remember that there is just a Gamedata folder, and all that really has to happen is that just has to get put into the Gamedata folder in your Stalker Anomaly install. Now remember, I'm using JSGME, so we're going to follow the procedure there. We're going to put this into our mods folder. I already have a couple there. We're going to start JSGME and then activate the mod that we want. So in this case, boomsticks and sharpsticks. Now you see here in the Gamedata folder, there are already pieces here. This is from boomsticks and sharpsticks. All JSGME does is it takes it from this mods folder and puts it in. But it also keeps track of things, so it's easier to uninstall and install mods that you may want to change or anything like that. Again, if you have not used JSGME, please refer to my previous video. I'll leave a note here in the top corner of the video for you to click on that. Now, when you install multiple add-ons, you may run into issues with conflicts, like in the case of Boomsticks and JSRS. In this case, you have to hope that the add-ons have patches included with them. Luckily for this situation, they do. When you have add-ons with patches that need to get installed, you'll first want to install the add-on that provides the patch. Then you install the conflicting add-on and then the patch after that. Remember that the order that they are installed in will matter if they are conflicting in any way, but in a lot of cases you probably won't have to deal with that. But if you guys have a lot of mods, this is basically how things will just work. My best advice for you when you're doing this is to install the biggest mods you have first before you install all the other stuff. The reason why I can show you here that there's Hollywood Effects right here. Now, Hollywood Effects does conflict with boomsticks and sharpsticks, but when you read the description about Hollywood Effects, he says that they have already taken care of that problem and all you need to do is install Hollywood Effects on top of boomsticks and sharpsticks. Remember, I told you the load order matters. It always does. So you try to install the mods that have the most conflicts or that are just generally speaking the biggest before you install all of the smaller stuff like this crap I have down here. But you can install all sorts of mods. You can install dozens of them. Just have to keep in mind those few important points. So now let me show you what you do with DB modifications. So again, it's just a DB folder here. All we're going to do is we're going to copy this or actually extract it since it's in the archive. We're going to find our Anomaly install folder and just click the DB there and hit OK. We're going to watch 7-zip here, extract the files, and then you want to go into your Stalker Anomaly install and just make sure that they got there correctly. So we see here there's DB mods and then there's a couple texture mods. So we go to DB mods and we see that those textures are there. So they are properly installed. The only trouble you can run into here is if you use duplicate add-ons. So let's say you have two different skybox textures. Well, then the game's not really going to know which ones to use. Just keep in mind if you are using textures, you have to use one add-on for each kind of texture. But you can use as many mods as you really want. So now let's talk about shaders. I'm going to show you two here just because there are a couple, but I just don't want to spend all my time teaching you how to install shaders. So first I'm going to show you the Prosperity Reshade. For all these, you're going to need to download Reshade, which is found at reshade.me, just like that. You want to click this download button here, which will bring you right down to this. You click download there. Now remember what I said, follow the instructions for the specific add-on that you are using. Once you've downloaded Reshade, just run the exe and you should get a little window like this. It says to select a game and manage its Reshade installation. So we're going to click that. We're going to hit browse. Then we're going to try to find our Stalker Anomaly install. And from here, we actually need to go into the bin folder and select the exe of the Stalker version that we are using. So if you don't actually know, you can go back to your Anomaly launcher and launch this here and just look. What render are you using and are you using AVX support? Depending on those, you will then choose the proper bin. So for instance, in my launcher, I'm using DirectX 10 and AVX support. So we're going to go to bin, we're going to go to DirectX 10, AVX, and open that. This will ask you which rendering API we use. We're going to select 3D 10, 11, 12, just as it says right there. Now I already have some of this installed, so we're going to update. And now for Prosperity, they say specifically to download only the legacy effects. So depending on whatever is here, you can uncheck that. You can leave on the standard effects, that's okay. But then for Prosperity, remember it says to download only legacy effects right there. So this is what we're going to do, legacy standard effects. Hit OK. All of these things we're going to hit OK with. And now we can close that window. Now we have to go to the Prosperity add-on that we downloaded. We're going to extract the files. Then we're going to take all of these files, besides the README, just the configuration files, we're going to copy them all. And just as they say here, we're going to paste them in the Anomaly bin folder. So we go to Anomaly, bin, and we're going to paste these right here. Now to actually enable it, we do need to get in the game, so go and launch your game. One hint to tell that it installed correctly is if you see up in the top corner, it says Reshade right there. So it says press home to open the configuration overlay. We'll do that, and now we can see everything right here. Now to enable the Reshade, remember that there was a couple configuration files that we copied over. Each one is going to show up here in this top list here. So you can choose whichever one you want. For me, I'm just going to use the medium Prosperity. We click it, we hit select, and then it's going to choose some of these effects to use. and what it actually, all the parameters and whatnot, you know, I'm not going to get into that stuff. But once that's done, shaders are installed. You can go and boot up your game now. So now I'm going to show you what to do about Chromax. Now we are going to need the reshade download, but we already did that. For Chromax, there is a dependency on this specific add-on, so we will need that. So we got the add-on that Chromax wanted. We're going to extract that here. Now let's see exactly what this is. This is a Gamedata folder, so this can be installed with JSGME, just like that. Now for Chromax, he says, during the installation of Reshade, you can select any effects you like. You can also install it without any, as he has provided them. So let's actually do that. Now when I extracted it, it actually just spit out these files, so you know, take them and put them in something else so that they're not just hanging out loose. But this is what you have. So what we're going to do with this, we're going to go and basically copy all these files right here. We're going to go to our Anomaly install, go to the bin folder, and just paste them right in there. Now you can overwrite them. The only thing that's going to be overwritten is the Reshade shaders, which was installed with Reshade. Now if you're doing this from scratch, we're going to do it the same way that we did with Prosperity. We're just going to go, we're going to install Reshade, choosing the exe that we are using. We're going to select the Direct 3D. We're going to update, and then we're just going to select whatever we want. Because Chromax already gave you the shaders, you don't need to worry about this. You can even skip it. Now again, to test this, we're going to open up Stalker Anomaly, and we see the reshade is right there. We can hit home. Now I do have the Prosperity reshade still in there, but now we can see Chromax is installed as well. So we can choose that, hit that, select, and ta-da, that's good to go. So the last thing is going to be those other mods that I talk about that don't fall under any of the categories that I already talked about. And one in particular is Grok's Better Sounds. Now again, with these things, you're going to want to check either the description, or if they pack a README, you can read that as well. So this tells us exactly what to do. We'll double click on this, open up this, start ALSoft config, and now there's a couple settings here, but they provide a screenshot. So we take that, we match it up here. Once you do that, you'll click apply, then you can close this, and you just need to copy this bin folder right here, go back to Stalker Anomaly, and paste it right there. Now you probably won't have a lot of mods that work like that, but I did just want to show you that one. Alright, the last thing that I'm going to talk about is troubleshooting. Now this isn't going to be able to cover every single possible thing that you can encounter, but I want to give you guys as much information as I can, at least so that you have a chance to try to figure things out. So I'm going to purposefully screw up the installation of JSRS and Boomsticks and not include the patch file. Now what would happen with this is that when we go to launch a new game, the game is going to crash. Now it can either happen when you first initially launch the game, which it won't right here, or it can happen when you start a new game. So there we go, the game just blew up. So there's a couple things that we can do. First, we can go to this app data folder, to this log section, then we can look at this X-ray text document. Now with this open, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and we're going to see where it says fatal error. Now this right here isn't a huge help. The only thing that this is going to do is hopefully give you a clue as to what add-on is potentially causing the issue. So we see here, for instance, the argument says can't open section ammo 9x21. That probably means that a mod that's dealing with ammos and weapons is causing the issue. And hint hint, right now, because of the way that I screwed up the Boomsticks installation, yeah, Boomsticks is causing it. That's just a little bit of information for you. It might be helpful, it might not. But if that's of no use to you, the other thing that you have to do is the more painful process. From this, you're just simply going to uninstall your mods and then test one at a time. You'll install one, you'll start up your game, see if it runs. Then you'll put the next one in and do the same thing over. This will hopefully give you an idea about what is potentially causing the issue. Maybe one of the add-ons has a problem. Maybe two add-ons aren't working with each other. Maybe you missed something in the install. It could be a number of different things, but this should be able to give you clues. The most important thing to remember when you're doing all this modding stuff is to be patient. The game offers limitless possibilities, but sometimes things just don't work. Alright guys, that's going to be all I have for this one. Hopefully this was a little bit helpful. I wanted to make this video to go along with the previous video that I did talking about JSGME. These two together should give you a pretty good idea about how to accomplish a bunch of different things. So with that, peace out. I'll catch you on the flip.